What is going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone, and this is your weekly gear news update. This is where we go through some of the news stories and the stuff that we've found gear-wise in the guitar world in the last week. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like guitar stuff, and please share this video with your friends because I know there's not many of these, and I love doing them. Okay, so the other thing I want to mention before we get into the news is our new podcast that comes out every Tuesday at like 5 a.m. because that's when podcasts are supposed to come out. Anyway, we moved the video side of it to a different YouTube channel because it was kind of clogging up what we normally do around here. So I put a link to it in the description. If you would, do me a favor and subscribe to that YouTube channel. And you can also go check out the episodes that are there. We've got some really cool ones in the can too. We've got some cool people on the schedule I think you're really gonna dig. So make sure you check out that right down there. I just didn't want to clog up the normal YouTube channel with the podcast, which is kind of its own thing. Of course, it's guitar stuff, but so do that for me if you would. All right, let's get into the news. Catalinbread has released a new phaser called the Many Worlds, and the idea behind this thing is to have many different kinds of phasery sounds. So, 8 different kinds of phasers, I think. In this thing, they say they're covering the classic orange box phaser, if you know what that is, as well as some of the other kind of crazy sounds that you can make with this pedal. It is fairly deep. Catalinbread is known for going fairly deep. This is going to be a fantastic pedal, and actually, it's not, for a boutique pedal company, it's not that expensive. $199, which is right in there, and the graphics on the thing are super cool. It's no doubt going to be an attention grabber for those people that like lean over your pedal board to see what you want. Probably one of the coolest, obviously, fuzz circuits and like the most well-known of all time is the Tonebender. I think there was like 4 different iterations of the real Tonebender before it kind of branched off into other things, and of course everybody makes a copy of it now. Thorpy Effects has put 3 germanium transistors in one pedal and a bunch of really high-end parts. This thing is really, really pretty, really, really well executed, and the idea behind it is called the Boneyard, and the idea behind it is to have basically all of the Tonebender kind of iterations, I think it's 1 to 4 or something like that, are all going to be in one box. So you're going to basically have all the Tonebenders, or at least as close as you possibly can, with 3 real germanium transistors in there. So obviously, because of the germanium transistor thing, this thing's not going to be super cheap. It's going to be somewhere around $400, I think. But if a Tonebender is your thing, and I know a lot of people like this as the basis of their fuzz tone, you're going to be into it. Harmonix, whatever. Tell me how you say it in the comments. Anyway, they came out with a new Tremolo pedal. So this is their Pulsar, which is basically a shrunken down version, because we're able to do that in 2022 of all the older pedals, right? So I think the stereo Pulsar is now down, called the Pulsar, and it fits in a little box. One of the cool things they added to this was a volume pedal. So when you use a tremolo, it basically takes away from and brings back the volume level. That's more or less sort of what it does. It's like turning you up and down really fast. So they can give you a perceived volume down effect when you use the pedal. So to have a volume up knob is pretty cool. The other thing is it's true stereo. So you can go into it and then out to for stereo on the other side, and then you'll be able to have proper swooshy kind of traveling around you effects. This is a really cool pedal, and it is also not very expensive at all. Yeah, I think it's 99 bucks. I'll leave a link to as much of this stuff as I can find in the description below. Do me a favor, and if you click on those links and check them out and like stuff and, you know, shop around, that would be awesome because it does help out the channel a little bit. I do appreciate it. Cort has just come out with a, it looks kind of like a super Strat thing, but it's got 2 humbuckers in it. It's called the G290 Fat 2, or I don't know if that's Fat 11. I think it's Fat 2. Anyway, they have the VTH77 humbuckers in it. It's got lumen laid dots. It's got a flame maple top. It's got a roasted maple fretboard. I think this thing has a bunch of sweet stuff. I mean, it's really like a hopped up and very well appointed guitar for somewhere around $1,100. So a 25.5-inch scale. I think it's got a tusk nut. Like, it's got all of the modern appointments, like the really nice stuff that you would normally have, but for a very, very reasonable price. This would be an interesting one to try out for sure. You remember a little while ago, the Strymons came out with all black pedals. So, well, a few black pedals. It was the El Capistan, which is delay, the Big Sky Reverb, and the Deco tape emulator. They came out in all black. So they just released different versions, or same versions, but just in black, midnight versions of the Timeline, the Mobius, and the Dig, and the Blue Sky. So now you have pretty much all their main bigger pedals all in black. So apparently this was a customer, a requested thing, and so they did it. Because, usually Strymon stuff is all kind of bright, like sweet tart colors. And so people wanted black, they made black. We stepped back over into modeling land this week with Boss. They have a new one come out called the GX100. Now this is pretty cool. It's got a touchscreen, it's got an expression pedal, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 switches on the bottom, and it's got a bunch of other stuff. It's using the AIRD technology from the Boss GT1000, as well as all of their, what do they call them, their tube logic technology. So basically they're filtering down some of the stuff from the GT1000, which is a very good modeler, into this thing, but they're making it easier to control. So sometimes some of these modelers can be a little complicated and hard to get like what you want out of them. So this is aiming to do a better job of that, but not give up a lot of the high-end modeler features and stuff that you want from the higher end stuff. It's gonna have 23 amp models, 150 effects. It's gonna be able to be used as a USB interface, so you won't have to have anything between that and your computer. It'll have an app, it'll have Bluetooth connectivity, it'll have a bunch of stuff in here, really super well featured, and crazy that this thing is $599. This is unbelievable. I'll try to find this and leave a link to it because I think this is really a good buy. Also in modeler land, if you're a Fractal person using, the FM9, the FM3, any of that kind of stuff, they came out with the FC6 and the FC12 Mark II foot controllers. So these are just the foot controllers that go on the floor, separate from your normal unit, that control it. Basically, the way Fractal does it is they do it with an XLR cable, which is kind of cool. And it seems to work pretty well. The biggest difference with these is you're gonna have bigger screens, it's gonna be easier to see. Everything's proportioned a little differently on the front panel of the thing to make it easier to use. A couple of months ago, we announced that Gretsch was coming out with an updated sort of, what do they call this, trestle bracing system and a new set of Filtertrons. Well, I don't know if they've expanded into more guitars or if they're actually just finally coming out with these guitars. I can never keep up with Gretsch because they have billions of models. But the G5420, the G5422, both available in right and left-handed, and the G5422 G12, which is a 12 string, are all going to feature these new pickups and this new bracing. The pickups are called the FT5E Filtertrons, and they're going to be aboard all of these guitars. And what's crazy about these guitars, of course, is the price. I think these things are going to be somewhere around $899, $799, $899, depending on how they're appointed and which one you pick. Pretty cool stuff. If you're a Gretsch person, dive deeper into this because with Gretsch, every model is a little different. And if you're a Gretsch person, you know this stuff, and I just don't. Speaking of reasonably priced, semi-hollow-ish sort of guitars, Yamaha is revamping its Revstar range. They have 3 different models called the Element, which is gonna be like $500, $599, something like that. The Standard, which is gonna be the $800 range. And then the Japanese-made version, which is gonna be called the Professional, which is gonna be a little more. I think it's gonna be somewhere in the $2,000 range. But these guitars are pretty interesting because they're not full semi-hollows. They've got like chambering in them, and they're all basically to be better balanced and resonance and all that kind of stuff. The Professional in particular is very interesting because they put carbon fiber inserts in the body on either side of the bridge mounting and tailpiece mounting sections to give this part of the guitar a different stiffness factor. Also, they've done it in the neck as well. So this is a really interesting approach to a semi-hollow guitar. I've not seen carbon fiber in a semi-hollow before. And they're not necessarily semi-hollows, they're kind of weirdly chambered. So this is just a completely different approach to a guitar in general, and I think it's really cool. Elvis, you know, that guy. He played guitars, and he played Gibsons. So they came out with a version of two of the guitars that he played, the SJ200 and the Dove. And they're black, and they're cool looking, and they're got Elvis's name up at the peg head. And if you're into Elvis, you might want these. And if you're not, and you just want a black guitar, these are pretty cool. What's really cool about it, I think, is the Dove is actually not any more expensive than the regular one. The Elvis version is $44.99, which is the same price as the regular Dove, which is pretty cool. And the SJ200 is $52.99, which is a couple $100 more than the regular one. So if you're into Elvis, there's your thing. Last week or the week before, I think we talked about how Andertons came out with a collaboration with Fender with a Ferrari yellow. I wonder if they're actually allowed to say that. That's interesting because Ferraris are really weird about that. Ferrari yellow Super Strat, and it was a single hum thing. It's in the picture right here. Single hum sort of deal, black knobs, the whole deal. But it's just a player Strat, very similar to the one that I've got on the wall right here. Guitar Center is doing the same thing, the whole 80s hair metal thing with the lime green and the Ferrari, I don't know if they're allowed to say that, red, in the picture right here, which is, these guitars are really basically the same thing as that Player Series Strat that I've got hanging right there that we've used in some videos. The only difference is the colorway is different. So you got black pickguard, black switch tip, black knobs. I think they're speed knobs actually. And you've got a black tip on the tremolo and lime green and red colors. So basically the same guitar as that, but just different color. Pretty cool though, if you're into lime green, and I am. I think it's very cool. Every year, Fender comes out with a line of custom shop guitars that is super wacky, super expensive, but the idea is to show like the showcase of the minds of some of the craziness that goes on in some of those master builders' heads and what they are capable of doing to kind of just push design on regular Fender guitars. But, you know, anyway. So, Fender has unveiled the 2022 Custom Shop Master Built Prestige and Limited Edition Annual Collection models. There's a bunch of them. You can see them here. They are crazy. And they are, some of them actually are right in the normal Master Built prices, which is, you know, right around 10 grand or so, which you think is, I know it's a lot of money, but some of these guitars can go insanely expensive. Go to the Fender Custom Shop website so you can read about each one of these guitars. Each one of them has a story where the concept came from, because, you know, it's the mind of the custom shop builder, which is kind of cool. These are really neat things. My favorite one, I think, is the Telly, all the way on the, I guess it would be the one closest to me in the graphic, and that's a kind of a resonator thing. Super cool, very cool stuff. Anyway, Fender Custom Shop. Speaking of not the Fender Custom Shop, but a former custom shopper, John Cruz. He left a couple years ago, and there was noise on the internet, like he did a couple of interviews and stuff that he was starting his own company called John Cruz Custom Guitars, based out of Central Tennessee. Last week on his Instagram, it's been kind of dead for a long time, but on his Instagram, and if you go to johncruzcustomguitars.com, you'll start to see that there is a website there, and there are a couple of models, the ST Crossfill and the T Crossfill, something like that. His normal relicing kind of stuff. So you follow him on Instagram. I think some of the dealers, we were up at Casino Guitars in North Carolina, and they had some guitars there. So it looks like they're starting to filter out into the world. John Cruz Custom Guitars. Probably won't have a link for that one because I don't think they sell those ones at Sweetwater. But I'll leave a link to the website so you can check them out. They seem pretty cool. Please do me a favor and hit the subscribe and the like button because I know you like guitar stuff. That's why you're still here. And we have our podcast. Make sure you check it out. I'm actually recording 2 episodes this Thursday. They're going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We've got appointments for new episodes coming. We've got really cool guests. The one I'm recording on Thursday, I think you're really going to dig. I'm super stoked about it. Also, we have a live stream on Thursday night, and we are going to do a special live stream from our other channel as well after the normal live stream because people like to know about some of the other stuff we've got going that's not guitar related. So that's on our other channel. We'll talk about that during the live stream on Thursday, as well as I've been working on the Catalyst 100 review, and hopefully that video will come out Monday and you will see it because it's an interesting amplifier. So do me a favor, and after you've subscribed, go watch some videos and check out our stuff. Use the links below, do all the things that YouTube viewers do. I really appreciate it because it's what keeps us going. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.